quicker. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful. I mean, how do I even live up to what Christina just said? But I'm just going to say, yeah, that's exactly what I'm like. And hopefully you won't get to know me too well, because then you'll be like, yeah, that's crap. Anyway, not totally. I do love hugs, though that part is true. I am grateful that you all came here to talk with me today because I'm going to talk about my favorite topic, which guess what it is? Accountability. And don't you all love that? I mean, sometimes people are like, that is a dirty word. We don't love accountability. But here's the thing. You've heard the saying about how those who can't do teach, right? Well, guess who has the mic today, suckers? That's what's going to happen. Am I good at this? I mean, I try to be accountable, but it is not always easy to do. We're going to talk today a little about systems, accountability by design, and how some organizations are able to scale and others stall, a lot because of their design. So I have a question for you. This is the Q&A part. Of these three organizations that I'm going to show you, or three systems that I show you, I want you to tell me what you think makes the most money, okay? So, National Football League, American football, all right? Soccer. Now, I know there's like a million leagues. These are just two I pulled out to represent soccer. Soccer or Formula One. So which one of these do you believe makes the most money? Oh, stop it. Just say one of them, Niall. Most revenue, yeah. What did you say? Say Formula One, all right. Any other ideas? American football? Oh, soccer. Real football. All right. Any other? Come on, you guys have an opinion. Let me hear. Formula One, really? Okay, I love the Formula One fans. All right, well, our little proper football guy up here is accurate. It is soccer, okay? Soccer, gross net, bottom line. Worldwide, you are right. It may not be the system, however, that you want to run. So let's talk about that a little bit. I will be clear here, though, y'all. If you're going to challenge me on sports, this is not a talk about sports. I am in no way a sports expert. I'm not representing that I am. This is a talk about systems. So I want you to think about these systems that are behind these sports. There were a lot of sports I could have chosen, but I thought these were pretty good to be able to represent what I want to talk about today. So let's start with soccer. You're right. Massive, worldwide, huge fan base. The largest sport that is the largest worldwide sport, okay? Huge, big, if you've ever been to a game. I guess Jeremy just showed he was at the Real Salt Lake, for any of you who were in the presentation before that he did. They just went to one last night where Messi was. Like, it's a big deal, right? Everybody knows who Messi is, and I'm not even a soccer fan. I know who he is. Massive revenues, all the things. However, in soccer, in the soccer system, there is pretty fragmented ownership. This is a graphic that I pulled that represents a fraction of how many leagues there are and how all the different levels. And in my mind, it's a little bit chaotic. There's not one rule book. There's not one leader. There's not a whole lot of clarity that you can go to and say, this is how you run soccer, because that just doesn't exist, right? It's just all over the place. So it's a little bit of chaos to me. As evidenced by, some of you met my son yesterday. He was with me, Jake. He is a soccer fan. And I, being a very good mom, right, wanted to understand how this sport that he loved worked. So I would I'd get up on Sunday mornings, and he'd been up for a couple of hours watching soccer before we were even awake because he was, like cheering for his team. And I would say, well, help me understand, how soccer works. And I would kind of glaze over because it's a little bit confusing with the different tiers and especially ownership and all of that. I didn't understand it. So it was not really clear to me how this system worked. In a system that is fragmented like this, a little bit chaotic, not one place that gives us the clear rule book, a lot of times the leaders end up having to compensate, right? When there's lack of clarity and you want a certain result, the leaders are running in, having to rescue, fix, and save, make sure that the systems are working the way that they wanted to have them work so you can get the results that you're getting. You're running from here to there, making sure that your team is doing exactly what you want it to do because it depends on you in order to have the outcome, because there is no clear direction. There's no clear way that this is the way that we do business. So leaders end up compensating. As far as being able to grow, well, we know, like you've seen this in the market. There are especially startups that can completely take off. The scale can be great. It's not opportunity that they run out of. It's bandwidth. It's the ability to be able to carry this load. And if the load is dependent on the leader, there is a maximum point. Like you can only do so much. The system can only take so much. So scaling becomes a little bit hard. All right, let's talk about the next system. So football. Football has a better structure as far as there's one rule book. There is one, and now I'm talking about the National Football League, so just go with me here. There's one rule book. There's one commissioner. There are rules that very clear boundaries that the organizations have to function in. And again, I'm not defending this particular sport. I realize that all of these have their hot messes behind the scene. But as far as a system, at least there's something that there's a structure around it. Excuse me. This structure also has constraints within it. And what's happening tonight, y'all? What starts tonight? The draft, that's right. So there are draft rules. You can't just go out and get anybody that you want. You have to follow the specific draft rules. There are salary caps. There are different ways that there is constraints around what they can do. But the constraints create some discipline that actually can come up with some pretty cool innovation. Now, I won't get into all the details. I didn't hear any of you moan when you saw this slide about how the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL, right? It's true. But here's the thing. I fell in love with a Raiders fan way back in the 80s, and guess what? He's been diehard ever since. And so, of course, I had to represent. Sorry, Braden. I know you'd prefer to see the Bears on there, but it is the Raiders. And it was interesting this year. I won't get into all the details, but they ran into a salary cap thing with an individual that was a highly compensated employee that they thought they were trading. Did not happen. And they had to get real creative with what they wanted to have. I want all this stuff, can no longer do it, don't have the money to do it with. Well, let's get real creative in how we're going to make that happen. And it was interesting to see, because of those constraints, the discipline and the innovation that occurred with it. Sometimes we think, I don't want to put a bunch of rules around our people. Just let them do. You know what? They need some guidelines. They need some structure. Those boundaries actually create some pretty amazing innovation. So then the system ends up carrying itself, right? Because there's a place that I can go to understand the clarity around it. And it isn't the leader that I have to go chase down. It's not you running around trying to fix everything. In addition, it's scale that can sustain. Because whether you're there or not, it's still going to work. But there is a next level. What do you know about Formula One? Anybody know much about Formula One? This is what I know about Formula One. This is how I got interested in Formula One. Brad Pitt. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Okay, there's a movie on Apple TV called F1. And I was watching it, and I was fascinated with Formula One and just the precision. It's elite, which is why I thought they had to be making tons of bank. As compared to soccer, not quite, but they're doing okay. Don't have to worry about them. There's 10 teams, 2 drivers per team, and that's it. and talk about clarity, I want to really point out this particular picture. This is a pit crew. There's probably 20 people in this photo. I don't know for sure. But what every single one of them, they know their role. And there is no overlap. And there's no confusion. And they do this in a matter of seconds. I don't know if you've ever watched this happen, but it is amazing. We could test my guys and see how long, at Oswald Service, they'd probably be a good hour. I mean, the race would be done, right? But I was so fascinated watching this happen because everyone knew exactly what their role was. And they executed it to the level of precision that was absolutely impressive. And that is the precision and the elite nature of what Formula One, the system of Formula One and what it can produce. The consequences are immediate because if you make a mistake, it's obvious. Happens right away, and goodness, you're not winning the race. You lose position. As well as there's no place to hide, right? You can't really be like, it was them. It is you. Ownership at extreme level. Now, certainly he can blame the car and everything, but the cars are also engineered to the degree I can't even imagine. And so, again, there really is no place to hide. If you make a mistake, you don't place, you don't win, it's obvious. Consequences are immediate. So precision at this scale is actually, pretty tight. What comes with this level of performance is high intensity, high expectations, high burnout, high turnover. I can't imagine functioning at this level all of the time. But that is not a flaw in the system, okay? That is by design. To get the results that they want, the system had to be designed to that level of precision. Make sense? Okay. So 3 systems, 3 different outcomes. And I want you to think about your business. When we're talking about these systems, do any of them resonate with the way that your business and your system in your business is running? It did cause me some reflection. My husband and I own Oswald Service and Repair, which is an automotive repair located in Idaho Falls, and we have a second location in Rexburg. We're building our 3rd location, which is the second location in Idaho Falls. So we're in that process of expanding. And I was thinking, about how this applied to us. And I can tell you what we've been running. We're 3rd generation owners. This has been around since 1939. Okay, so we've been in business for decades. And you know what system we've been running for decades? It's been a hot mess soccer system, I can tell you. We were just lucky that I mean, you don't know, right? Because it's successful enough. And so we're chugging along and things are doing good. And my husband, Kevin, is in the Idaho Falls location, and he's like, yeah, we should expand. And we're like, yeah, we should expand. So we build a location in Rexburg, Idaho, which is great, right? It's doing fine. Well, he goes to Rexburg because we have a new location there, and he's working on it. And guess what's happening over here in Idaho Falls? Right? Things are going south. And we're like, what the heck? You just spent my whole life in that organization. Why aren't you doing what you know you should do, what you watched us do, what all the blah, 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 do your job. This is, right? All the things we say. So what does he do? He runs back to Idaho Falls. He's like, okay, got to get this fixed. Well, what's happening in Rexburg? Yeah, it's starting to tank. He's like, what the heck? I just spent how long with you guys trying to get you up to speed? Okay, I'll run back over here and take care of you. And you see the craziness that we get into. Well, it's dependent on one person, and that was the problem. So I want to talk about your organization. Do you have lack of clarity in your organization? Do your individuals really understand what their role is? Are you changing it all the time you go in? Because, it happens a lot, especially in startups, because we don't know. We're just doing the best we can. We're just not flying by the seat of our pants. But if you can get, the more clarity you can get around the roles that your individuals are in, it helps them to know exactly what those boundaries are that they're functioning in. Do you have lack of clarity in your meetings, where you're in your meetings and then people leave and then they have a meeting after the meeting because they're like, I have no idea what just happened, and I don't know, she was saying something but it sounded good, but I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, so I'm not going to do anything. Like, is that happening in your organization? Is that level of clarity? Are you clear? Are you sending out agendas prior to your meeting that are very clear about what I'm supposed to do when I come to your meeting? Is this a decision point? Is this for discussion? Do I have homework to do before so work can actually get done there? That's what I'm talking about with clarity. Clarity up front. How about diffused ownership? Is there finger pointing and blaming? And it wasn't me. I'm doing my job. I'm just surrounded by freaking idiots. And so I can't handle what they're doing, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Or do you sit in, let's go back to meetings, and say, we should do this. This is a really good idea, and I think this is where we want to go. And then we, and we're swimming in a pool of we, and then nothing gets done because it's a we unowned. And a we unowned does not, you need to take a we to an I to get ownership around it. So is there diffused ownership in your organization? How about inconsistent consequences? Are expectations kind of just suggestions? So you have beautiful manuals and you have wonderful policies and procedures and you have whatever that is, but there really aren't that very consistent consequences around what happens if those things aren't followed. Because I like you, and so I'll just look the other way. Or, you're my son. This is what happens in family business. I will be honest. Has Kevin taken Jake out of work and gone fishing? Yes, he has. And that is, it's hard when you're in a family business and the consequences don't feel like they're the same. So how are they in your organization? Do you have inconsistent consequences? Are they more suggestions than just guidelines? If so, this is what happens. The leaders become the system. The system is not running itself. You are running the show. And then you're wondering why they aren't just doing their jobs. Why don't you just do your jobs? Why should they? You are. You're running in, rescue, fixing, and saving, carrying the load, making sure the outcome is happening the way that you want it to happen. All the things. We become usually the problem that we are complaining about. So, I have an answer for you. And you've never heard this before, except for about 10 talks that have been given prior to me. And I wish it was a new silver bullet for you, but it's not. It's clarity up front, okay? And this is the thing that would kick my butt, because I was like, it takes so much time. I don't, just do your job, whatever that thing is. But you're wasting the time on the other end, rescuing, fixing, and saving, putting out fires, being the hero over here. Spend some time getting clarity up front. And this is what we had to do, because obviously expanding really showed some cracks in our foundation and how our system was set up. It's not sustainable. Like, we can play this game, but really to scale, we had to get some stuff done a little bit better. So we had to have a really honest conversation with ourselves about what are we doing here? And I can't live with this man anymore if he's going to have to be crazy like this. So we've got to do something. So we really did some work around our mission, vision, and values. And we call it the Oswald Way. Now, there's nothing special about this, and if you would like to see it, it's on our website. You're welcome to, do whatever, check it out. But there's 10 points here. It espouses our mission, vision, and values. And so what? Because I had mission before. I don't know what it said. It was, somebody told me to do it, and I'd written it down, and it was somewhere over there. Why is this different? Because this actually has become our way of being. And I can't even tell you exactly why, other than, no, I can tell you why. What has happened is this really is our way of being. This is the way that we conduct business. This is the North Star for us, if you will. So we built everything around this. We built job descriptions around this. We built our policies and procedures around this. We built our employee handbook around this, so that it really is our way of being. And the great thing that happens is that when we're not in one of our organizations and our leaders need to make a decision, and it isn't clearly outlined in some policy and procedure or whatever, they can go to this. And they can say, I don't know, does this line up with who we say we are? Yes or no? And if they make a decision, and maybe if Kevin and I come back and we're like, oh, we didn't really like that decision, and they say, yeah, but it aligns with this particular thing in the Oswald Way, we go, okay, absolutely. It was absolutely right. So it has helped them have self-empowerment around making decisions, and that level of clarity has made all the difference for us. If any of you know me and Kevin, we leave for months at a time, and things still function. In fact, pretty well. Both our organizations are at a point where we feel like we can double the size of the next one, which is what we're building, and try this again, and we're pretty excited about it. So, what clarity creates is owned outcomes. Clarity creates designed accountability. Now, I don't know if any of you guys are sitting here going, I thought this was a talk about accountability, and I really haven't even talked about accountability, have I? It's because when you have a system designed with this level of clarity, you don't have to hold people accountable. It's designed in the system. It's the guidelines of which they function under. Now, there are still things you have to pick up the pieces here and there, but for the most part, absolutely, it's designed accountability. And the system does the work, hallelujah. Doesn't have to be you. Does not feel good. Growth does not create problems. It exposes what's going on in your team. And like I said, that's what happened with us. So if you are your system is fragile, no surprises there. Stop expecting Formula One results from your system if you're running a soccer system. And this is absolutely where we were. We're like, this is what we're expecting. And we were running a soccer system, and we were lying to ourselves. So tell the truth. Figure out what system you're running. Decide what result you want. Choose your system, and then own that result. Choose your system based off of the result that you want, and then own it. Clarity creates ownership. Ownership creates follow-through, and you get the results that you need. Most leaders manage results. That's management. You all need to be leaders. Create a system that gives you the results that you want. Step back and lead your team. Every place I go into, they are starved for leadership. They're being micromanaged. Y'all are high-level managers. Step back. Become the leaders that your team wants you to have. And I shouldn't accuse you of that. Maybe you guys have this figured out so much better than I did. But we're high-level managers, and we're working on being leaders, that's for sure. So this is a QR code to my website. It has a quiz on it, little different flavor, but it will tell you about, where you're at with your own personal accountability and your team's accountability, and give you kind of a diagnosis and some ideas. If there's anything I can ever help you with, I have oodles of tools around clarity and helping your team get to that clarity up front. I am so happy to do that for you. Thank you so much for your time today, and I really appreciate you being here.